All right, we're here tonight with Boone McDermott, very special guest. Boone is a state champion for Dubuque-Wahlert High School in 2018 at 220 pounds. Went to Iowa Central where he just won the national championship at heavyweight this year. Phenomenal season, 36-1 with 26 pins this year. And big news yesterday came out. Boone is headed to New Jersey, going to Rutgers. So that's super cool, man. Thank you very much for joining us. We're excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. The first question I've got, we all know what's going on in the world right now with this COVID stuff. What have you been doing? I guess, how are you adapting to this current, strange situation we're all living through?
So it's actually kind of crazy because it stopped a lot of opportunities for me. I actually ended up not being able to take all of my official visits because of it, which kind of sucks because, I lost out on two or three opportunities to be able to go visit more programs and see what's out there. But, really I'm doing the same thing. I'm training hard and, staying active, making sure classes have all moved online. So I'm making sure I'm doing all my schoolwork and staying on top of that and just doing what I can to stay in shape and keep getting better.
Hey Boone, can you tell us a little bit about your wrestling background and any other family that you have in wrestling and how you got started?
So I first started when I was in third grade. I went to a couple practices just at the local club. We got the flyers out from the high school saying, "Oh, come to the kids club." And I wanted to try it. I had a lot of energy, and my parents thought it'd be great for me, a little easier on them. And so I actually ended up going, and I liked it a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun just to be wild and just scrap, I guess. So instantly I fell in love with it. Didn't do too much there. I don't even know if I wrestled. I think I wrestled one tournament and that was it for the year. Didn't do too many practices, just kind of for fun. And then after that I kind of started taking it more seriously. Fourth grade I started training all year, and then that was kind of when I started going down to Jurgens down at Young Guns, and really kind of kicked off my career in wrestling. In growing up in middle school, I won 2 AAU state titles, a bunch of USA state titles, and a few grade school state titles. I won just about all the local national tournaments in terms of dominating the Dells, Corn Cob, a few other ones here and there. I did, and after so I went to that was in fifth and sixth grade. I did really well. And then I actually got held back again because I was pretty small for my grade. Everyone was starting to develop a little sooner than I was. And not to mention I wasn't the brightest in school at the time. And so I actually got held back again and was in sixth grade again, and had great success throughout the year, won all the tournaments and all of that, and was actually number one in the country at the time as well. So that was pretty cool. But come around seventh grade, I tore my shoulder out, and I had to stop wrestling for a period of time. And at the same time, my parents actually got a divorce. And so that kind of cut everything down in terms of being able to travel down to Young Guns with Eric all the time, 4 days a week. And, I was also going to DC Elite on the weekends here and there. So it cut pretty much all that out. Went into my eighth grade year, wanted to do, the club wrestling for the middle school. And I actually, before the season started, I injured my knee pretty good on a dirt bike. Yep. And so that ended that season. And so then we're on to high school. I actually went to Dyersville Beckman for 2 weeks. before I went to Wahlert Catholic. Thankfully, I picked Wahlert Catholic. In the end, I'm very happy with my decision on that one. I loved it there, and I love the people there. But getting back into it after a 2-year break from not wrestling into my freshman year was tough. It was definitely, hard for me. Very rusty, and it took a couple years to get the rust off. I had a decent freshman season, over 500, I think 27 wins, I think, and 14 losses or so. Went into my sophomore year, again, like 20 something wins and, like 11 losses. And then I was a late bloomer when it came to growing up into a man. I didn't hit puberty until after my sophomore season. So as my body, right after season, within a month, I had already grown an inch and put on 10 pounds. And so I knew that I was starting to grow, and I started to see some changes in my body. And so I started hitting the weights, and just like that, took off like a weed. I think I grew like 6 inches and like 60 pounds in a matter, of like 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
Going into my junior season, I was very, very excited. I was bigger, I was badder, and I had a way better mindset towards everything. And I ended up going, like 36 wins and like 5 losses or something like that. I ended up getting third at state as a junior. And that's kind of when things turned around for me in life. And I knew that, I could really do some things on the big scene if I really work for it. And so, I just went back to the basics, just training really hard for the next how many months. I never took a summer off in high school ever. Every summer I was doing Joel Allen's Iron Sharpens Irons camps, getting 40 to 50 matches every single camp, live 6-minute matches. And, that's a full season. That's a full extra season under my belt. And so I definitely think that helped with my edge over the competition, as I was getting that many more live competition matches against good competition to help me grow. So going into my senior year, I was pretty confident. I put on some more weight, and I was up to 220, and I was pretty excited. I was very excited for the year. I knew I was going to do some big things, and I had the right mindset for it. I was finally believing in myself and taking things seriously. And so going through my senior year, started the year off, I think, ranked top 5 at 220. I knew I was supposed to be ranked 1, but apparently nobody else did. And so I ended up going through about halfway through the season, and I'd only suffered 1 loss my whole senior year, and that was to Daniel Kirkvliet, who's Penn State's next big fish, and so halfway through the season, I actually got a chance to wrestle. Well, about 3/4 of the way through the season, I got to wrestle Francis Dugan, who was the transfer from Pennsylvania to Iowa, and he was 5th in the country at the time by flow. And so I had him at a home duel. I got to wrestle him at a home duel, and I was confident. I was confident I could beat him, and I did just that. I beat him 6-0, and then 2 days later, I pinned him at the conference finals. And after that, my life was changed. The phone was ringing. I can't tell you, all the coaches from, Division I and Division II, Division III, NAIA, everyone was calling. And that kind of really changed things again. It's like my life is so far has just been a bunch of switches that just keep getting flipped. And the more I realize, the better I get. And that's kind of what happened. After that, I went to the state tournament and pinned my way through the whole thing. Nobody in Iowa my senior year scored a single point on me. I went on to represent Iowa in the Dapper Dan, and that was very cool. Went on to get third at USA Nationals and third at USA Nationals in folk style, and then I got third that summer in freestyle and Greco at Fargo. Every time, all 3 tournaments, I lost to the champ. Definitely sucked, but I guess that just shows, kind of where I was at. I was, in that top 3 range because every match was close, and but also I triple crowned on the state level. Won freestyle and Greco state, and then I also had the chance to wrestle at the Virginia Beach National Duels for Team Kong, and had another big win there over, he was number 5 or 6 at the time by Flo, Tyler Kurt. I ended up majoring him in the finals to clinch us the duel. And so it was awesome. I was on cloud 9. I was my senior year was everything I wanted it to be and more. And that kind of leads me into JUCO and what happened there and why I had to take that route. And here we are. So
I don't think many people know, Boone, but my son wrestled with you at Young Guns back when your 4th, 5th grade years back then, and you were actually a lightweight. You're a little guy back then, probably 70, 80 pounds at best.
Yep, 75 for a year and then 85 for 2 years. That's what
I thought. So, I do have an interesting story back then too, because your dad would always come down to practice with you, and him and I would chum around and talk. He's a great guy. But for those that don't know your dad, I think the best way to describe him is the actor Michael Chiklis that played in Fantastic Four, The Thing. I don't know if you know, he's got a little scratchy voice, but he would always sit next to me. And this back in the day when Juergens was hardcore. I mean, you got your phone rang, you get kicked out of the room. If you're talking too loud, you get kicked out of the room. And I'd sit next to your dad, and he's got that scratchy, really rough voice, and he'd be talking to me, telling me stories. Next thing I know, Juergens would look over us, and boom, we get kicked out of the room. I'm like, dude, come on now. He'd just be laughing the whole way out of there. It was like his key every time we'd have that practice to see if he can get me booted out. And I'd be like, I didn't even say anything, Juergens. And he'd just be laughing, going out. I'd be like, doggone it, I'm out again.
Oh, yeah.
Big dad, big family.
That made a lasting impression because when I started bringing my sons down to Young Guns, every time I came in, Jay was like, Rob, shh, you got to be quiet. Eric's going to get mad. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Boone, amazing story. One thing I wanted to ask, so what weight did you wrestle your sophomore year?
So I'll start at the beginning. So freshman year, I wrestled 126 and 132. Okay. And then sophomore year, I wrestled 152. And then junior year, I wrestled 182. And then senior year, I wrestled 220.
Gotcha. Unbelievable growth, man. That's wild. That's cool. And it obviously, sorry.
It's crazy because I'm the giant of the family. Jay, my dad, he's short. He's like 5'7", I believe. My mom was right around there too. Everyone in my family is, under 5'10" just about, and I'm 6'3". I don't know where it came from, but I got blessed with height. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember the first time I saw you after your growth spurt, you came up behind me and put your hand on my shoulder. I'm like, uh-oh, I don't know who this guy is. And dude, I'm like, oh, that's Boone. He's just, 8 inches bigger than what I remember him.
So Boone, you had an amazing senior season. Obviously folk style, but then freestyle and Greco as well. How much Freco did you do growing up?
I actually did youth wrestling. I only did one summer of freestyle and Greco, and that was it. And even then, I trained it very little. But the little I did train and learn was everything that that I needed to know. And I was taught by, Eric and also Ray Brinzer. I don't know if you know who that is, but old wrestling legend.
Yeah.
So I wrestled, for about one season, and we really only practiced it for maybe a month beforehand. I actually went to Northern Plains, and this is a good story. Went to Northern Plains, stepped on the scales. I was over. I was like point 0.4 over. Okay. I throw the sweats on, go run, start running. I couldn't believe I was 0.4 over because when we got to the hotel and I checked my weight on my scale, I was right on. So I was like, oh, perfect. I'm just going to sit here and chill. And so I got the sweats on. I'm running. I'm freaking out. My parents are freaking out because there's like 10 minutes left till weigh-ins or whatever. I take my stuff off when they're calling last call for the scales. I go and get on the scale. It says 85 on the dot, right? Multiple people saw it. My dad was right there, 85 on the dot. I move, I just shudder. My body shudders, whatever. I'm on the scale and I draft a little bit. It goes up to 0.1 and then back down to 0.0. The guy there at the scale, I don't know what he had against me, but he said, nope, it said 0.1 over. You blew weight.
Oh.
And that was the first time I ever blew weight in my entire life. It was horrible. But thankfully the rules then, or I don't know if they still are, if you blew weight, you just got put up into the next weight bracket if you wanted to. So I actually ended up wrestling 90 pounds, even though I cut for 85. And so I won Northern Plains I won the freestyle, and I got third in Greco, and went to nationals. I got to have a pretty cool experience. I went down there with the West brothers, Drew and Bryce, and longtime family friends, and we went down there. I ended up taking 5th at nationals in freestyle, and I actually got 2nd in Greco. I lost to the Colton Schultz.
Wow. Okay. Big name now in the Greco scene. Yeah, for sure.
And that was actually the most controversial match of the whole tournament because he had already had a lot of great success in Greco, and so everybody knew who he was except for me. I just started doing that stuff. I didn't know who he was. I didn't care. And it was back when, you had the 3 periods and you had to win 2 of the periods. And I go out there, I win the first period pretty easily. Second period, he beats me. Third period, he's up by 1. There's like 15 seconds left. I got an underhook, I jack it to a seatbelt, and I throw a very clean hip toss. Should have been called for a 5. And the refs all stopped the match because 2 of the refs confirmed it, right? And it was it. That was it. I knew I won right then. And that one ref stopped it. He said, no. He went over, talked to the other refs with Schultz's dad talking to him as well. And they come back, said I used my leg to throw him. They said I threw him over my leg and took my points away, gave him 1 for a leg violation, point infraction, and I lost. And then I never did freestyle Greco again until my senior year. Never trained it ever again. So I've got about a month of training total.
Wow. So we kind of left it off, Boone, right when you entered into Iowa Central. Tell us a little bit about your last 2 seasons you had there, and just adjustments you had to make going from high school into the college scene.
Yeah. So looking back on it now, I'm super, super thankful and super grateful for Iowa Central. I feel if I would have went D1 right away, I wouldn't have been ready for it at all. In terms of school and training. going to Iowa Central my first year, I redshirted, and one of the primary reasons I redshirted is because I really wanted to focus on my school first. That was the reason I was there, is because I messed up in high school. I just didn't didn't do the things I needed to do, and didn't do my homework, and was lazy. I was lazy in high school, and I didn't listen to my dad when it came to do your homework, and I just never really listened. And so that's how I ended up there in the first place, was just not doing my work. And so I turned that around completely. I went into college, and someone once told me that your first semester of college is your most important. That sets the tone for your rest of your college career. And I took that, and I held on to that pretty tight, and I grinded it out. And that first semester was tough. It was really tough, doing all my homework, going to all my classes, then wrestling on top of that. The training at Iowa Central is just insane. They're tough for a reason. That's why, they're very tough, and Coach Moffitt does a great job at getting guys tough. But it was hard for me. My freshman year was hard, not only because school was tough and I was just learning the adjustments of actually participating in it, but also, redshirting. If anyone who knows me knows that I love to be in the spotlight, and I love to represent the school that I'm at, and just I take a lot of pride in that. And it was pretty hard. It was really hard and really depressing, honestly, to have to sit on the side. And especially, I was in the room, and I was beating all the heavyweights that we had, and it sucked. It sucked sitting back and watching from the side, but I knew it was part of the game plan and part of the master plan to get to where I am, and it was definitely worth it. But I closed out my freshman year, and through the season I wrestled at a few opens here and there. I think I only had 2 or 3 losses. The only excuse I have for that is that I was undersized. I actually lost a bunch of weight before season, just because I wasn't used to the intense training. From high school is pretty easy compared to what college is, and I wasn't ready for that. And I actually went down to about 205 to 210 the whole season, and I was relentless. I wouldn't go down to 97. I wouldn't let it happen. My coach begged me and pleaded me to go down to 97 because I was wrestling some big boys, those heavyweights, and I wouldn't do it. I knew I was a heavyweight. I just had to fill up. And so after my season, I started lifting again and started making good habits with that. Back to the basics, same lifts as high school. Everything was the same. It's just a little bit more intense this time, and I got big. I got real big. I think I hit upwards of 255 before season. So that brings me into this year. Came in the season at around 255, and ended up by the end of the season being down to around 235 at nationals. And it's funny because when Luke Moffitt was recruiting me, he told me I was big enough to wrestle right away because he didn't want me to redshirt, because he never lets anybody redshirt ever. And so he wanted me, he's like, oh, you're big enough where you are. And I didn't believe him. He's like, Cain Velasquez won a title for us at 235 pounds. And I thought it was hilarious when I weighed in at nationals 235 both times. I mean, that was one of the first things he told me, and I'm sure he won't let me live that down. But I had a lot of great success this season. I came in this year with a totally different mindset and a totally different attitude than I've ever had before. And I think that was the difference between me and obviously all of the rest of my competition. I won all the opens I wrestled in except for the Harold Nichols. I lost to UNI's Carter Isley. I lost 2-1. very good match. But unfortunately, I wish that match would have happened later in the season, just because that match came very early in the season. I think it was our first or second open, first or second week of actual competition. So, the gas tank wasn't really there. I was still a little out of shape and not where I needed to be. But ended up, I won a few more opens. The Grandview Open, I won that 2 years in a row. I won the Rochester Open. I won the BVU Open. I don't know. I'm sure there's some I'm missing, but other than that, I had a very, very good season. Went into season, I don't think I was ranked at all in the initial rankings for the preseason rankings. And that was because I redshirted. It is what it is, got to go off the criteria stuff. And so wasn't ranked. The second set of rankings, I ended up getting in at 8th. I got in at 8th, and I was pissed because I knew.
What did you think when you saw that? Yeah, I'm sure that was a little motivating.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, and it just like ultra motivating too, because it was almost like, it was almost like deja vu, from high school, my senior year. They put me ranked 5th, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I know I'm ranked 1, but somehow nobody else knows.
Yep.
So going on with the season, I didn't really get to see too many of the top-ranked guys until January. I got to see the number 1 ranked kid down at the NEO duels, and it was a lot of fun. So I actually was sick that whole weekend. I was good when we got there, and that night, being a heavyweight and buying into the heavyweight shenanigans, I ordered pizza. And the delivery driver, though, he gave it to me like, oh, are you guys from Iowa? And I said, yeah. He's like, oh, you gonna wrestle NEO? He's like, you think you're gonna win? And I said, yeah, naturally. I was like, oh yeah, like not even close. And he goes, huh, well, good luck with that, and then walks away. The next day, we go through weigh-ins, and I'm not feeling the greatest. I'm not feeling good at all. After weigh-ins are over, I'm in the bathroom puking for like 30 minutes. And then we go out. I put my shoes on to go warm up. And I was like, start to warm up. Had to run to the bathroom and puke my guts out. I couldn't hold any water even. I couldn't hold anything down. And it was like that for about half the day. And a teammate, very good family friends of ours, the parents were there because they're from Oklahoma, and they ran out and got me, saltine crackers, Pepto-Bismol, Tylenol, ibuprofen, Sprite, just everything. But that was after I had the match with the number 1 kid. So Landon Brown from Western Wyoming was ranked number 1. He was he got 3rd last year, and at the national tournament for JUCOs. And so I was excited, but I was also sick. And so before my match, I was laying on the ground. I couldn't warm up because I didn't have anything in me, and I thought I was going to die. So I was laying on the ground, and somebody go, Boone, you're up. And I got up, and I almost went right back down. I was lightheaded. It wasn't fun. My coach looked at me. He goes, hey, I don't care if you're sick. You better go out there and win. And then I smacked myself in the face a few hard times, and I went out there and I ended up beating them 12-3, I think. Wasn't close at all. And that's kind of when I was able to put my name out there that, hey, Boone McDermott's here, and, you all should be pretty worried. And it was awesome. And then and so I got to face him again a couple weeks later. I ended up pinning him. And so that just that's what really put me up at rank number 1. Going into nationals, I knew I was going to win. I think I had done enough damage to most of the top guys at that point to where everyone kind of knew, like, hey, this kid's going to win this. And I was very confident. And so in my first 4 matches, I pinned all of them in a combined time of 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Went into the finals and won my match 4-0. Very, very one-sided, very controlled. And, that was a match that at the beginning of the year I had wrestled, because I ended up wrestling the same kid and that I had in the finals like 4 or 5 times throughout the season. And, when you wrestle somebody that many times, they obviously start to learn what you do and know how you wrestle, and you get used to each other. So the margins get closer and closer. So great competitor though. I loved wrestling him every time. He always put up a great fight and had a great attitude, and always went in there looking to win the match, never just giving up like most of the guys I wrestled. I won my national title. It was awesome. I felt the moment I won, I felt a sense of, I don't even know, fulfillment. It's just like, even though it is, only a JUCO title, some people don't understand that, hey, it's still a collegiate title, and, it still holds just as much value, in terms of being a national title. I feel like JUCO gets a very bad stigma put on it, and that sucks. It sucks a lot. I always have people, oh, it's JUCO, and oh, you're a JUCO kid, and people really don't understand that, like, a lot of great wrestlers and fighters and athletes have come out of JUCOs.
For sure.
We've in the last 2 years, you've had 2 Iowa Central alumni alone make the world teams. National champs from out. You had Joe Colon and Pat Downey. That's just in the last 2 years. I mean, we had Cain Velasquez, John Jones, Colby Covington. 3 of the top fighters in UFC period. And so, but yeah, so I was, it felt good, because even better though, because, my whole life had been to work towards, the high school state title. That's what it was all about. Oh, I want to win, 4 high school state titles. It was always about the high school state title. And so I was really just fulfilled and proud of myself that, I went out there and I won a national title, and the feeling was honestly even better than the state title, because to me, after wanting just a state title my whole life, anything past that is just, even better. It doesn't stop. And obviously my mindset's changed now, because I've always wanted to, win a Division I national title. And so it's, it's back to the primary focus. I'm not as, I'm doing what I got to do to win it, and I'm going to keep my head where it needs to be. But yeah, so had a great season, won a national title, and yeah, it was a great year.
Yeah, heck yeah. I'll say, I think at every level, winning a national title is incredibly impressive. We a couple of weeks ago, we talked to Paul Bradley, former Iowa wrestler. He's currently at Queen's University in North Carolina. He talked about how he's recruiting JUCO kids to come over where he's at. They're D2, and he said, yeah, they're JUCO kids, but you could argue that sometimes JUCO is tougher than Division II, and some brackets equal to Division I. Some of the kids. And I'd say that you, from what I've seen, you're a D1 kid who, due to a couple things that you talked about, I appreciate you opening up about it. You went JUCO for now, and now you're, you had a good experience there, and you're sort of, if you will, like righting your ship, and now you're going back to, you'll be D1, and that's where that's where you belong. I think that you've believed that the whole time, and I think it's showing. So that's really cool. I think a lot of young kids can learn from your story. So I really appreciate you telling that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the thing I would tell young kids, is one, for the younger kids who are just entering high school or middle school, or freshmen in high school or sophomores, the younger ones, do your homework. Trust me, it bites you in the ass in the end if you don't. And do your homework, go to class, have great relationships with your teachers, because then they'll always help you when you need it. Listen to your parents. Listen to your parents for sure. But for the kids that are kind of in the same situation I was in, your grades aren't very hot, and you want to keep wrestling, and or you're already good at wrestling, and you want to take it to the next level, but you can't because of your grades. Don't be afraid to go JUCO by any means. I think more people need to go JUCO. It gives you a chance to learn how to do college the right way, and how to do things in the right ways, and on a smaller scale, and it really prepares you for the big universities. I don't know. That's just my take on it, though. Some people might think otherwise, but yeah, I definitely think a lot more kids should enter JUCO. It opens your horizon on your opportunities as well, and but yeah, so do your homework, and listen to your parents.
Great advice. Great advice.
If you're going to a JUCO, you gotta go to Iowa Central. You have to. It's just
one of the best, for sure. Hey, so really good advice, Boone. Thank you for that. I'm going to ask for a little more advice. With our current situation, everyone's quarantined. Nobody can get into the wrestling room. What should kids be doing right now to get better at wrestling?
One of the, apart from, stance and motion, obviously you can do unlimited stance and motion anywhere. You can do it in your backyard. You can do it in your room, your living room, on your bed. It doesn't matter. You can do stance and motion everywhere. But the big thing that's so overlooked in wrestling as a whole, at all levels, even collegiate, is really watching wrestling and studying it.
Hey guys, I had some internet issues and lost the rest of that portion. We're going to pick up with the rest of the discussion here.
When Boone's out on the mat, basically he's got a great name, Boone, for wrestler, but I just always called him Showtime, man. It was like I would tell my friends, hey, shut up, don't talk to me. I'm like, well, it's not even a wrestler. I go, I know, but something entertaining is going to come out of this. So.
It's funny that you say that, because I forgot about that. But that's my thing. That's what I like to do. I like to put on a show, especially home duels, or duels in my town, or if it's like a state thing, whoever I'm representing. Every match I go out there, I get to represent the school I'm at. So for Iowa Central, I get to represent them, and every match I wanted to put on a show for everyone watching, whether it was online or in person. I like to make the people happy and give them something fun to watch, not just another boring heavyweight match.
Yeah.
It's always entertaining when you step foot on it, man.
And actually, that may be one of our questions is about your decision to go to Rutgers. It may make sense, your Showtime status. Pat Downey's out there, and he sort of reminds me of the kind of guy who likes to put on a little bit of a show as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I've never actually met Pat Downey, which I don't know how I haven't yet, but I haven't. I'm very excited to. I feel like me and him are gonna get along great, and I'm excited to especially have him as a training partner. He trains out of the NJRTC, so he's in the room here and there, whatever, however much he's supposed to be, and so I'm excited for that opportunity. It's not every situation where you get to wrestle with a USA World team member as much as you want.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, Boone, tell us. I mean, I know because of the COVID, your chances to go visit colleges really got narrowed down. But I mean, what made Rutgers? I mean, just be the boom, the jump out one that you're like, this feels right. This is home.
So, you know, I had already taken a visit to Oregon State. I took that in October. I had taken a visit to Northern Illinois in December, and then I got to take my Rutgers visit in February, about mid-February, I think. And my my next two visits for Purdue and Fresno State were scheduled for the 2 weeks. The 1 week was supposed to be. Oh, it was supposed to be okay. It was supposed to be the weekend of after D1s, I think. The weekend, I think so the 2 weekends is back-to-back weekends or whatever after D1s. The whole coronavirus thing happened, couldn't take those two visits. And I was upset. The recruiting meeting got put out to the 15th, and I was, okay, well, I still want to take them pretty bad, and, I'll just slow things down. And I explained that to all the coaches, and all of them were cool with it. It's a unique situation, and kind of got to go with the flow on it. And then once they released an update saying they were going to push the recruiting ban till May 31st, I said, okay, it's time to it's time to do what I can to, find out and do as much as I can with the schools I haven't visited to get the decision done, because May 31st, that's a long time away, and that's late. I want to get rolling on things, and I'm just excited. I'm excited to finally be in this position. And so really what sold it for me on Rutgers was the coaches and the team. Immediately I love the attitude of the coaches and the team, and just the mentality and motivation all of them have. Not to mention it's a very young team, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited for what we're going to become. And it's so nice, by the way, to also finally be able to say that about a team, like, oh, what we're going to become. It's not just a thing like, oh, So, but another thing that really drew me in was the atmosphere behind, just there in general when it comes to wrestling. They get, their average numbers are 5,000 per dual meet. I mean, I've never wrestled in that many people in my entire life, except for state, is whatever thought, 16,000 or whatever. But even then, I only had probably, 50 to 100 cheering for me. And so it was, it's crazy to think, that I'm going to have 5,000 plus people cheering for me, and I really love how passionate the school and the supporters and just New Jersey is of the wrestling program in Rutgers. And that really just excited me, and I really want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that culture, and I want to be a part of this team that's, on the rise and ready to start doing big things. And I want to be an influencer, a leader. And but yeah, so really the atmosphere and just the immediate connection to the team and the coaches was just awesome.
Already a top 25 team this year, and like you said, very young, big addition at heavyweight coming in. I mean, I think that Rutgers is definitely on the upswing. Looking at sort of where the lineup sort of looks right now, it looks to me like you have a chance of making an immediate impact. What are sort of your expectations moving out there? What are your thoughts?
Because I did take the JUCO route, obviously my competition was not not really Big Ten filled. So I've got a lot of catching up to do, and not in a bad way. I'm excited. I'm excited to learn and grow and use all the resources I'm going to be given and offered at a D1 institution, and let alone Big Ten. Um, I'm so excited to get out there and learn and get better. And as expectations go, I expect myself to be better and achieve success. My whole life I've prided myself on, hey, I'm a winner and I'm not okay with losing. So I'm definitely gonna just do what I've been doing and do whatever I can to win. you know, and I'm just yeah, I'm so I can't even speak. I'm just so happy that I have this opportunity to wrestle in the Big Ten at that. The competition in Big Ten is just unreal, especially at heavyweight. I mean, and how many duels Rutgers has with some of those top teams that have those top heavyweights has me just beyond happy that I finally am going to get that exposure, and that I'm going to get those big matches, and that I'm going to be able to learn from them and get better. And I see a Division I national title in my future.
Yeah, love it. We're gonna have to talk to you after that. Well, hopefully a lot before that also, but after you win your title, we got to have you back on for sure.
Of course.
So, Boone, I'm gonna go back in time, a little darker time for you here too. Okay, I don't think a lot of wrestlers, a lot of people understand. Man, you've had to go through a lot of obstacles in your life to get where you're at right now. And I don't think a lot of people understand. Back in high school, your mom unexpectedly passed away. Who were some of the people that you leaned on, your coaches or anything like that? How did you get through something, that traumatic, and then once again excel, find another gear just to improve yourself, not only as a person but as a wrestler?
Yeah. So it sounds weird, but the experience I had through it, it was a blessing and a curse. It was the worst thing ever. Me and my mom were so close, and so I took it hard, obviously, and it was really tough. And that was the darkest time in my life for sure. It happened, I think it happened in April of my freshman year, so just before school is over. And you know it took me the whole next year to really say, hey, I went through sophomore year just kind of rolling with the punches. That was, I think, sophomore year overall was just the worst year probably of my life. I was depressed and wasn't happy in life. It was recovery. It was just recovery in a way. And um, you know, my coaches Joel Allen and Jeremy Buffelli were just beyond the best. They helped me so much get through that. And not to mention, obviously, all of my friends that I had at school were helping me. One in particular, her name's Lily Jackson. She's one of my best friends, and she really helped me and helped me get through that time as well. And obviously, my family. I spent a lot of time with my family, and a lot of time growing up with my family. And so it hit us pretty hard. We're a very tight, very close family, that. And so it was like, it was, earth shattering to us. And so really though, like I was saying, it was a blessing and a curse. Curse because it sucked. I lost my mom, and she's not something I took for granted, but looking back on it, a lot of people do take their parents in general for granted. And I think everybody needs to appreciate their parents a little bit more. And the saying, you never know what you have until you lose it. And but I'm thankful in that I found the opportunity in the bad times. Once I stopped being a baby, you know, that was after my sophomore year. That's when I started to lift weights and grow. My body was growing. I was entering a new stage in my life, and it really all happened in you know, like one day. I remember this. I remember the day too. I woke up and I thought about it, and I wasn't happy with where I was at. I was not okay with it either. I was raised better than that, and I wanted to make a change. And I said, "Hey, I'm sick of being a loser. Let's do what I can to be a winner." And you know, I had to grow up really fast. You know, I was a freshman, and you know, losing your mom's no easy task. And I've got, you know, 2 younger siblings and 2 older siblings, and you know, the younger ones, I played a big role in, you know, helping them make sure they were getting to school, doing their homework, making sure the meals were getting made, because my dad had to work full time, you know, just to make ends meet. And so I had to grow up pretty fast and essentially become, you know, the mother of the family. And I was more than okay with it. I think that helped me really mature as a person and really gives me an edge over a lot of my competition. Um, you know, I learned how to grow up and how to be a little bit mentally crazy, and that's helped me a lot in my career. And yeah, it was tough, but I look back on it, and you know, we wouldn't be having this conversation if that didn't happen, you know. And so I'm forever, you know, in pain because of it, but also I'm forever thankful that I was able to somehow somehow find the light in the dark. And yeah, that's kind of a little background on that. Um, just appreciate your parents, you know.
Oh, I can tell you that your mom's smiling down at you and has got to be so pleased at where you came from and where you're at right now and the stuff you're doing, Boone. So keep it up, brother.
You've touched on this a little bit already. You've got an amazing story, Boone. You have a lot of young wrestlers that look up to you, for sure. If you could give them any advice, what would it be?
You know, I've said this already, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's the biggest thing, is really, you know, listen to your parents, because regardless of how much, you know, it might seem like they're saying something, you know, you don't want to hear, everything your parents say is for a reason, and it's usually because they've already been there and done that. They've already had the experience, you know. That's why they're a parent. And you know, really listen to your parents is a big one. You know, stay focused. Yeah, wrestling has its fun times, but you got to be able to balance, you know, play time and work time. Um, never stop having goals. You know, my goal was a state title, and after that it was, you know, D1. I wanted to go D1. Well, okay, I had to take a little route to JUCO. Well, guess what? New goal, JUCO national title, and then D1. And here we are now. We're at that stage. I'm at D1 now. Next goal, All-American status, All-American national champ. And never stop never stop creating goals. And always remember, no one feels sorry for you. No one ever is going to feel sorry for you. Not your opponent, not the competition, not nobody. You know, you gotta you really gotta remember that it's you. You know, you can only cheat yourself in those workouts and those exercises and everything. You know, you make yourself better. And the last thing I would leave them with is school. Make sure you really focus hard and try in school, because as much as you might hear people tell you, you know, oh, school, you know, high school is not that important. High school is the most important. You know, that is where you start to experience your first stages of becoming an adult and independent, and it comes with a lot of responsibility. So always make sure you're going to class and you're always doing your homework, studying, asking teachers for help, creating good relationships with your teachers, because it'll go a lot more than past high school. And if you're in a situation where you're not sure what you need to do for college, you can always go to Iowa Central, because Luke Moffitt would love to have you, and I guarantee you'll succeed there.
Hey, Boone, I know you had a ton of big matches, in your career. How do you prepare yourself mentally for them? And do you have any rituals that you set up before the matches?
I don't believe in those. I don't believe in rituals, and I don't believe in lucky socks. Mainly, what I believe in? I believe in myself. I believe in my training. I believe in, my dedication to the craft, and to where I'm confident enough that I'm going to go out there and I'm going to wrestle my match. That's the biggest thing for me, is thing changes. My dad said it since I first started wrestling, and really it goes towards everything in life. He always say, what's the difference between this little JV tournament match and the Olympics? And there's no difference. Every match is equally important, because it's another match. It's another opportunity to win and to try and to succeed. And so, for big matches, I go in there with the same mindset as small matches. Yeah, the nerves are a little different, but it's always good nerves. It's always confidence. I always portray confidence, no matter who I'm wrestling, where or when, no matter what the circumstances are. I'm always going to go out there and wrestle my match. I'm a firm believer in, you create your own luck. So I don't believe in, I know plenty of people who, I'm going to wear my lucky underwear, my lucky shoes, lucky socks. And that's, you create your own luck, And so, I don't have any of that. I go in and I do my thing, and I put on a show. That's the goal.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, who would you say is the toughest match you've ever wrestled, and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. The toughest match I ever wrestled. I'll say probably the toughest match. Toughest match I ever had. I mean, I didn't win it, but definitely one of my all-time favorite matches. It's going to be for obvious reasons, but my junior year, the second match I had with Max Lyon. Yep, that was definitely one of my favorite matches of all time, because me and Max had known each other, since I kind of first got into wrestling, and I kind of saw him here and there, and so it was like the final meetup of friends, and I lost by a decision, and it was a tough match though. It was a dog fight, and that was kind of a turning point as well for me, that hey, I'm rolling, I'm keeping this margin pretty close with a state champ. I'm right there, and but yeah, that was definitely one of the toughest matches, because he's hard, he's a tough competitor, and he's hard. He's a great wrestler, and but definitely probably one of the toughest and favorite match of all time.
Sure, that's a good one. Fellow Dubuque guy, and also fellow Big Ten wrestler. So that's It's a cool one, yeah. Okay, Boone, we are to our OT sudden death questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready. What does that mean?
Theoretically, so the theory was they were going to be faster paced. That really doesn't seem to be the case, because if somebody talks about their favorite wrestling movie and I haven't heard of it, then I always ask, hey, can you tell me about that? So it's not really faster at all, but that was.
Well, I'll try my best to answer quick.
Yeah, we're good either way.
Okay.
All right. So, favorite wrestling movie?
Vision Quest.
Love it. Favorite superhero?
I never really watched those movies. Superman.
Love it. Love it. Man of Steel. Jay Zimet's a big superhero guy, so I think that's one of his questions. Okay, so favorite wrestling match that you've seen of all time?
Kerry Collat versus Mark Ironside.
Love it. Great one in that all-star duel. Favorite food?
Steak. Ribeye.
Ribeye. Love it. And is there any place in Dubuque that you want to plug right now? What's your favorite restaurant in that area?
I would have to say Brazen Bar and Grill. Definitely the best restaurant in the entire county.
Very good. I'll have to check it out next time I'm in the area.
Sure.
All right, Boone. We got big championships times coming up here shortly. Jaden Cox or Kyle Snyder? Who's going to win the spot?
Okay. So I'm going to get hate for this. I'm a Kyle Snyder fan. Okay. But, I think Kyle is having troubles when it comes to beating Sajalayev now. Even though the last match was kind of, he got caught in a move, and it ended pretty quickly. I think if there's anybody that can really, really beat Sajalayev in a bad way, it's gonna be Cox. So I'm gonna take Cox on that one.
It'll be a good one. Have you watched Tiger King yet?
I have. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. I've actually watched it maybe twice all the way through now, I want to say. There's nothing better out there, I don't think. Like, it's crazy.
I mean, I have to. I mean, there's Tiger King, and then there's the Whites of Boone County, West Virginia. Those are probably the two wildest and best shows I can think of.
Love it. Did Carol kill her husband?
Carol Baskin killed her husband.
No doubt about it.
He's tiger dung right now, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Boy, how am I going to follow that one up? Okay. What was the longest go you've ever had wrestling someone in practice, Boone? Who was it and where?
It was at Iowa Central last year, my freshman year, and it was with Gunnar Cash, and we were doing a 100-point match. So it was first one to 100 points, and then you get to jog and run until everybody else is done. And I think that match took around an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, and I won 100-1.
Pretty dominant. Favorite vacation destination?
I've never really been on a vacation before, but if I had to pick somewhere that I've already been for some sort of event, I would have to pick Bulgaria. It would be.
When did you go to Bulgaria?
I went there in between my sophomore and junior year.
Okay.
Yep. I had the opportunity to go over there and wrestle with a bunch of the top clubs in the country, and I mean we traveled the whole country too, and we were there for around 2 weeks, and it was awesome. But it would have to be, I'm trying to think, the town or the city or whatever. It would have been the mountains. So it was a town, and it was in the mountains. And the mountains are there are really hilly, and they're beautiful. It's so beautiful. Veliko Tarnovo is what it was called.
Okay.
It was definitely my favorite destination.
Those are called wrestling vacations. My daughters are getting tired of taking them with my son. So, all right. What's your favorite wrestling style?
I'm gonna get hate on for this, but no, you know what? No, I love folk style. I love the fact that I can ride somebody out for as long as I can put them down on the mat for. I love that. I love just putting people on the mat and not letting them get up. We called it at Iowa Central topping them off. We had top guys off. So I love that. There's no better feeling than, having 5+ minutes of riding time.
Sure. But you were tempted by the high pace of freestyle, I think.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty equal among all of them because I love, everything about all of them. I love that in folk style I can ride somebody. I love that in freestyle, it's different points and scoring system, and I love that in Greco it's only bombs and I get to throw people on their heads only. Oh, sweet, So it's like, and then if I had to pick between international or just folk style, it's tough because I like folk style because it's a lot more technical and a lot more things go into it, whereas but freestyle and Greco, Greco, you don't have to worry about your legs, and then you get, both of them, you get a break in between. There's only 2 periods. I mean, come on.
Yep.
But I love them all. I love them all equal, and I'll continue to do all of them equal until my body can't.
What is your favorite quote to live by?
I've got 2 of them. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the first one is it's really sentimental to me. It's something I live by every day of my life, and I think about it every day of my life. And it's something my mom used to tell me every day. She'd start the day off by, live today because you never promise tomorrow. And so, I live every day to the fullest, and whether that be just getting better at something every day or, never living with regrets in that tense, always just enjoy the moment and never take anything for granted, I guess. So that's definitely my quote that I live by. Another one would probably have to be, it is what it is. I love that quote because, one, of how simple it is, and 2, because of how it covers, everything. It is what it is. And, it's up for anyone's interpretation. It doesn't really say what it's defining. You can kind of pick the moments it defines. And that's kind of how I like it. So those are my 2 for sure.
Love it. Those are both really good. Well, Boone, that's the last of our questions. Want to say thank you very much again for joining us, and big time congratulations to you. We really look forward to watching you at the next as your journey continues. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm thankful for everyone's support, and I'm excited to do my thing out in Jersey.
Very good. Hey, can you do me one favor? I'm sorry, Tat. I thought about this the whole time. You have a bracket over there behind your right shoulder. Could you show us? Love it.
Yeah, so this is my
That's beautiful.
Oh God, it's big. It's very big. This is my my JUCO bracket.
I love it.
Peace.
Yeah, we just kind of. It's funny. I've got I've got my state bracket down here too.
Hey.
I just kind of hide them back there. I'm not very materialistic when it comes to those things. So
Sure.
That was a good Rob. I did not see that earlier.
There is room for more, I see, Boone. There is room for more brackets.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this podcast with your friends. Give us a like and a follow on Facebook and Twitter at QCA Wrestle.
and keep an eye out for more QCA wrestling content coming soon.